Welcome, GoFlight users. My name is Jason Sokolov from Angle of Attack, and today we're going to be talking and discussing the proper way to set up the PMDG 737 with GoFlight products. Now, some of you are going to be wondering, especially for me, I was very hesitant because I didn't know exactly what to expect with hardware. And if you were kind of like me and wondering, well, I don't want to do everything, I don't want to apprehensive about installing any new hardware, because we all know it comes with a learning curve, and sometimes we have to hit walls and bugs, and it's a never-ending battle. And you probably all know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, a little bit about myself. My name is Jason from Angle of Attack. I'm the 737 instructor and the 737 line work instructor. So I've been flying the PMDG aircraft for about 12 years, and actually real-life pilot as well, and that helps. But today, I want to go over the GoFlight setup. And I don't know if it's proper, but it's what I've run into, and hopefully it'll decrease your learning curve. So, GoFlight. And by the way, I've been flying the hardware now for about two and a half months with no problems. Very smooth with the PMDG. I only exclusively fly the NGX. So, hopefully the NGX drivers here will go, oh wow, thank goodness. You might experience a different setup than I have, or different pitfalls than I have, and different success. But we're hoping that your learning curve will be decreased just a touch. Now, first thing you need to do is go to GoFlight, and that's GoFlightInc.com. You've got home, store, support, about us, and contact us. Now, the first thing you need, now I'll just tell you what I have running right now. I've went to the store. You could click that, or you can see those two buttons versus airline flight. Now I'm specifically an airliner, excuse me, pilot, and I have the GF airliner pilot modules. Now with GoFlight, every single one of these things is called a module, or these little panels are called a module. Some are push buttons, some are rotation buttons, and some are just push buttons. Others are switches. This comes with the MCP, which is a flawless, works great on my end. I did get a different throttle quadrant. I'll tell you what throttle quadrant I have. And the panels are the same here. I got switches here, and I believe those are the T8 switches. So these rocker arm switches, on-off switches, are T8s. That's a T8 panel. And then I've got obviously in the nav and comm, push buttons here. And I did get rid of this. I don't use this externally. I do all my flying on VATSIM. I just didn't need this. But I replaced this with a transponder panel. That was nice. And I'll talk about that panel specifically in a little bit. This is a really nice piece of machinery here. It's really nice because everything now is push button and rotary. You're actually doing it instead of a mouse click. Now, one thing I will talk about is we can really get the overhead panel programmed with these modules, and I've done most of that. Now, if you don't have track IR, this piece is absolutely a lifesaver, because then you don't have to keep scrolling up and looking on the overhead. You just have it visible right in front of you. You don't have to look around or pan around the cockpit. It's right there. It's tangible, which is so nice for a lot of different things. And even if you do have track IR, it's still hard to get your head positioned correctly and hold it there to flip a switch. It's just nice to have things right in front of you and programmed. So that's what I have. I also am running the yoke. I've got the yoke here, the GF Pro yoke. Definitely highly recommend that. There's a lot of reviews online on the web about it. I also have the TQ6 advanced throttles. And those two things are solid. I'd recommend both of those. If you're going to get the Airliner series, definitely get the yoke, because if you're like me and you're a diehard 7.3 guy, that's what you want. And the throttles are the same. So, and by the way, I've flown the 737, and the yoke feels really good, and so do the throttles. The throttles are pretty close as well. Now, we get that. So you get your machine, and you're opening up, you're really excited, and you say, now what? So a couple of things you need to install. One, just click support, and that'll bring you to a support page, and you scroll all the way down, and right here, latest software and driver updates. This right there is what you want. For the latest software download, please click the following link. You just click this link, download it, install. Now when you install it, I recommend you just don't plug your hardware in yet. Install the software first, GF config software. I recommend doing that. Please follow this, all of these install descriptions or instructions on how to install, okay? But install the software first before you do anything. Then what I would do is shut your computer down, okay? Because the first thing we have to do is have the hardware or the computer recognize the hardware. So shut the whole thing down. You're going to do a clean boot. Alright, so shut your computer down completely, and then what I recommend to do is plug all your hardware in. Get everything plugged into USB ports. Now, if you are running and I'll tell you what panel it is here in just 1 minute. I believe it's called the GF46. Now, if you, again, these things they come in all sorts of panels. The GF46 is really, really good, but there is a caveat to it, and I want to just teach you that, because I don't want you to fall in the same problem I had. There it is. This is your transponder panel right there. This draws a lot of amperage, a lot of power. So what happens is these modules are plugged in hubs and USB hubs. The thing that'll happen is this draws a lot of power, so it'll sap the other modules of power. That is not a big deal, but what you want to do if you're going to run this GF46, I recommend plugging this in separately, unplugging it from the hub, and plugging it right into your computer if you have enough USB ports. Okay, because otherwise it might not short out, but it might draw power away from your other modules that you need running. So make sure that this is on a completely separate power source, if that makes sense. Hopefully that does. And there is the caveat. I had to throw that in there because I don't want you going what I did and go, what the heck is going on, and find out the hard way. So, and that's what the point of this lesson is, right? Is this video is really to find those pitfalls. Now, another thing I recommend for PMDG drivers in the 7.3 is this EFIS panel. I cannot tell you, this little button right here, this barometric pressure, and you'll know, you guys flying into high elevation airports, 5,000 footers or more, it takes you half the cruise with your mouse to spin this up in the PMDG aircraft. And half the cruise is spent just dialing in your minimums. Well, not anymore with the EFIS. You could just dial it in right here. It's so nice, and you don't have to program. This is something that's a plug and play, where you just plug it in, it recognizes it, and you go. It's about that easy. Now, I'm going to get into that. So once you install your software, you get your software installed, you plug your hardware in. Okay, then you make sure that your hardware is off. You plug all your hardware in, kick the power strip on. You want to make sure you have power. Make sure the two hubs are green in the console itself, if you're running the console. Then you turn your computer on. Now, when you do that, you're going to have that software that we downloaded before, the config setup, come up. And I'll show you what that looks like here. Okay, so this is our GF config. This is what it looks like, okay? You've got, on this side, you've got certain things, and I can just drag it, and I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to just drag it over here. Now there's a whole bunch of things here. You should see every one of your modules up here, and all this you can't see, but I can kind of click and drag and pull it over, and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. You can see all the modules that I have installed right here. Now that should happen. Your computer should recognize this, okay? And it takes some time to recognize the software or the hardware, but make sure it does. Now I had a little problem with some modules were recognizing and some weren't. It's because my transponder was pulling the power. So remember, ensure you plug that in a separate unit before you do this. Now once that is done, this is no longer required, which means I don't have to do any programming. This panel right here is already programmed. It automatically, this is from FSX, just normal gear up, down, and trims. And that works with the PMDG. So that's good to go. So I didn't have to program anything here. I'm going to talk about the programming of this shortly. But I really want to do just a basic setup on this video. In the next video, I'll actually show you programming the switches and the buttons. So in this particular case, I didn't have to do much. And once this is done, that's it. The computer recognizes it, installs the drivers, and you are good to go. You're good to run. Now, one thing I did install, and I had a program, was these two separately. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But after this, I do want to pull one thing up, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to pull up this, and this is called polypotsoftware.org.uk. That is where you're going to find the necessary software to run the MCP, the EFIS panel, and everything else. This software we're about to install only works really with the NGX and the GoFlight. You'll be interfacing with this software a lot. Alright, and you can see here it says, please note that GoFlight PMDG interface is now called GoFlight Interface Tool. Now the person that wrote this software worked with GoFlight in just this principle, just to get this to work. And it is a great piece of software. This is what you're going to be interfacing a lot with. And let's pull the downloads up, and I'll show you kind of what we do here. So you can see these downloads. GoFlight Interface Tool, that's explained. GoFlight Interface Tool, FSX, SE, or Prepared. Okay. So you see GoFlight PMDG interface. It says this product is discontinued. Please download and use the GoFlight Interface Tool. Available on the product page here. And you can just click that page, and it'll bring you to the product page, where you'll download the GoFlight Interface Tool. Now, you download this tool, and I'll show you what it looks like. You scroll down here, and you're going to download this, okay? Get all these downloaded, and I'll show you. This is just one thing. You'll just go ahead and click here to download. That's an FSX demo version for free. You can do that, download it. And right here, this description for private individual use only. Again, go ahead and download that because you're going to need it. And by the way, it's like I said, it's worth its weight in gold. After you get that downloaded, it looks something like this, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like here in just a second. I'll pull it up, but you can see it looks something like that. And we're going to really interface with this entire thing. Now, you cannot get this up. This will not fire up unless you have Flight Sim started and you're loaded the PMDG. So, in steps to kind of summarize what we talked about. One, the first thing we need to download is the GoFlight config. And you find that from GoFlight Inc. You download the software. The next thing you have to download is the GoFlight interface tool found at Polypot. What was that? Polypot.uk. Yeah, Polypot.uk. Polypot software. Okay? That is where you find that. Okay, you download that. Then after that, you plug your hardware in, get all that ready to go. Keep it a clean boot. So computer off, plug your hardware in, turn your hardware on with the power supply, turn your computer on. It should recognize the modules. Make sure it does. If you're running the transponder, make sure that's plugged in a separate USB port. Once that is complete, you are ready to go and program for the PMDG. And that'll be the next installment. So until next time, throttle on. By the way, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, please leave comments below and I'll be happy to answer them.